Now, some of you that are new to the sport will be like, Nate Diaz is royalty. He's not. He's not. He's famous, but there's a difference between being famous and accomplished. So Nate Diaz had a good career. He just so you're aware, he will never make it to the Hall of Fame as an individual fighter. Now, maybe his fight against one of his previous opponents, maybe the Conor McGregor fight, he might have a fight make the Hall of Fame. But as far as him as individual accomplishments, he won't make the UFC Hall of Fame. That's just not real. That will never happen. I don't know if that's news to you guys, but he won't. But he's still, a marquee figure in the sport, and now he's making his money elsewhere. But to talk shit to DC is just it's just such a bad look. And I think his thing is, and a lot of fighters take it personal. That's why they throw shade my way. I never get mad. That's what I do for a living. So for him, he's like, oh, these analysts, breaking down fights, I don't get it. Fuck these guys. It's like, yeah, but they're not criticizing you. Like, it's literally their job they're getting paid for, dude. So I think he takes it personal, and that's where I have no issues with Nate. Truth be told, I have zero issues with him. If I saw him, I would be on guard, ready to go, which I welcome any of that. But I would just be like, I don't get where we got off on the wrong foot. I don't get why there's an issue between us.
Where did it start from?
It originally started when I worked for Showtime. My paid job was to sell the fans, especially the casuals, that Conor McGregor has a shot to beat Floyd Mayweather. That was my paid gig. So I went around ESPN, all this stuff, trying to prove that Conor at least could land punches and win some rounds. That was my job. And then when I get done working the fight, I'm walking the back, it's all boxing heads. And boxing heads really don't fuck with MMA guys, especially UFC guys. So I felt so out of place, and I see Nate Diaz. I'm like, oh, UFC alumni. So I go up to him like, bro, how about that? And he starts talking shit. Yeah, your boy got his ass whipped. I'm like, my boy? Yeah, your boy got his ass whipped. You know shit about boxing. And he starts talking shit. I'm like, oh, you think, and I think because he had his issues with Conor, like, you think I'm like all team Conor. Like, I'm team UFC here, dude. My job was the reason they hired me is to represent the UFC, which you're part of. Like, I'm trying to grow this with this audience. So that's what happened there.
If anyone's going to be Team Conor, shouldn't it be the guy who Conor put so much money in his wallet?
But also, wouldn't it be a better look for you if Conor went out there and let's say he knocked him out? Mm-hmm. Like, wouldn't you be rooting for the guy who's from our sport that you fought, lost to, and beat? If he went out there and beat the greatest boxer of all time,
makes you look good.
It makes you look great, So, yeah, that caught me off guard. And then since then, he'll throw shade all the time. Like when Carwin, I got emotional about Carwin having CTE. Which, man, read the room. That your brother ain't crushing it, Bubba. And you ain't far behind. It's, when you hear yourself talk. So it's like, man, I feel for him. I'm with you, brother. I want him to do great. I'm glad he's making this money. But play the clip here, Chin.
Why are you analyst now, Mr. Know-It-All? Talking about negative about what I should have done when I made more money than you ever made in your whole career. You're a great wrestler, DC. You can't fight for shit. Nate Diaz's record sucks. I'm like, you cried.
You can pause it. Yeah, it's just off. And I wish Theo was more educated on DC's career to rebuttal some of that. But it's like, oh, why are you an analyst now? Well, I think DC's 43. Is he 43, 44? Why are you an analyst now? You're talking about one of the biggest gig in combat sports next to Joe Rogan and John Anik.
He's 47.
He's 47, dude. Why are you an analyst now? Buddy, there's nothing more sad when a guy's over the hill and has to fight Jake Paul and do this other shenanigans to make their money, to make their nut. There's nothing more sad than that. When a guy's over the hill, and it's not that Nate can't compete, but he's definitely out of his prime. He's 40, so he's completely out of his prime. Nate Diaz has no other option than to do these kind of other lane fights, the Jake Pauls, the Mike Perry on MVP, some of this other shenanigans. Like, there's no other option. And you don't think DC could do that? You don't think DC could unretire, get out of his contract and fight Francis or do some wild shit and MVP? Of course he can. Nate, he doesn't have to. He has a job he can do till he's 70 on the biggest platform in the world. He's one of the biggest faces of the world because he's very articulate. He's smart, knows the fighting game better than most, and can speak really well.
He's an eloquent speaker.
That's not an option for Nate, guys. And it's not even an option for me. I talk for a living, but I'm no DC. I'm not Joe. I'm not Anik. It's very hard to do what DC's doing. But I just don't get why Nate's going at him, oh, you critique these fighters. It's his job, dude. It's his job. And then also when he goes, oh, that's why he has an issue with crying. Like when he came at me, it was, oh, you're crying. When he came at DC, oh, you're crying. Yeah, and I know you come from Sacramento. It's this rough hood and all that. So I think to him, he thinks crying's like a sign of weakness, which maybe the area he's from, I guess. But do you realize DC was crying because he lost a world title? And then with fans were hitting up, oh, are you going to address the Nate Diaz stuff? He called you gay on Theo's, and Theo didn't say anything to defend you. And I was like, oh, God, here we go again. And I saw the clip. I'm like, that ain't bad. That ain't shit. And Theo killed it with comedy. And then Nate also goes, I'm just playing. I
think he's just fucking around.
Yeah.
He's just goofing.
I expected way worse. I don't take any of it personal,
Yeah.
Because he's like, Theo, how'd you get the name the Rat King? He goes, oh, Brendan Schaub gave me that name. We used to do a show. He goes, Brendan still gay? I'm just playing, man. Theo's like, I don't think so. His wife told me he's not.
He's like, I've never been with him.
It's funny. Yeah, that stuff doesn't bother me. I think Nate's selling the fight. Do you, young man? Get your bag, dude.
Yeah.
And it's working. I don't have an issue with it.
Because before this podcast, when was the last time you heard just him talking about anything? You know what I mean?
Nothing.
He knows how to put asses in seats. No matter what you want to say bad about him, the guy knows how to get eyes on him and get asses in the seats.
Especially if it's mixed martial arts. Like, his fight against Jorge didn't sell well. That's why he didn't get paid, or Jorge, they got screwed, man. They didn't get paid? No, they got screwed. There's a lawsuit with that Trilla, I think. It didn't sell well. The views didn't do well on pay-per-view. I think because that's boxing. Jake Paul's going to sell well, of course. He lost to Jake, which the UFC was pretty pissed at, I heard. And then when it's MMA, Mike Perry, I think fans are going to be more down for that.
Are you buying that he actually lost to Jake? Or do you feel like there's a lot of people say there was some shenanigans?
What do you mean? You think it's fake?
Like, how do you feel about Jake versus Mike Tyson?
Brendan Schaub erupted on Nate Diaz. This is the second time. His first response was during the Fighter and the Kid podcast when Brian Callen brought it up. By the way, there's some changes going on there. I'll let you know in another video upcoming. But, so Schaub, how insane is Schaub? First and foremost, he did the Schaub thing. He trashed him, but then at the same time said there's no problem and he loves him going forward. But how delusional is Schaub? I get that you have to smash back at Nate Diaz. I understand that, and you got to take your shots. But, Schaub, you are the most pathetic, saddest thing. You're sitting in a storage unit in Texas because you can't lease commercial property because you didn't pay your lease in California and you're being sued for it because you can't afford it. You're selling your house. You sold all your trucks. Your career is dead. You're posing in leotards on your wife's Instagram because you're trying to get anything popping for any bit of money. That is the saddest thing. Now, as in regards to the whole, specifics of Nate Diaz against DC, who cares? It's just like, yo, Schaub, you're pathetic, dude. Everything you said that's sad about Diaz is more sad for you. You lost it all. You had it and you fumbled. The whole thing is just completely delusional on Bappa's side. And then he's got, like, you have to hire this Nick Simmons guy who you can tell Chin hates, because now there's a guy who Schaub hired to specifically kiss his ass. And by the way, the guy just makes the show go longer. That's why Chin hates him. Chin's like, oh my God, dude, stop asking Schaub questions and making me have to sit here longer and edit more. Like, shut up. Nobody cares. But the whole thing is sad, pathetic. But let me know your thoughts in the comments.